Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. By the way of introduction, I'm Volkan Bilgic. I'm Workspace Solution Specialist at Ultima. I've been here for just under 8 years. And as a Workspace Solution Specialist, my role is to sit between the commercial teams and the technical teams and help build out solutions, bridge the gap. I'm joined today with one of our kind of automation developers. Alessio, I'll hand over to you.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Alessio Manoni. I have been at Ultima for just over a year now, working in the product team together with the developers that built IA Connect. I've been an RPA developer for just over 3 years, so working with Power Automate, Blue Prism, and other platforms. And my role here is basically to use IA Connect, help our customer use the product, and build automation for them to simplify their business processes.
Thank you, Alessio. Just going to come off camera now so everyone can see the screen and not my face. So again, welcome everybody to our webinar on how to optimize your joiners, movers, leavers process. What we're trying to do in this webinar is look at some of the challenges we face in today's hybrid working world, and give you a demo of the solution and then go into some examples of what we see in the real world stats that come through our platform. We will then open the floor for questions. So I think the biggest question we get asked is what is IA Connect? IA Connect is an automation tool that integrates with Power Automate, allowing companies to get enterprise grade automation at affordable prices. The JML edition itself is actually designed for IT teams to improve their JML process and simplify the user lifecycle. When we talk about what are the challenges with regards to joiners, movers, leavers, one of the things that we've been doing automation for a number of years now, and one of the most common problems we see, and the one that always pops up, is joiners, movers, leavers. There's no right or wrong way to do JML, and each organization can actually be very unique in its own way. The one thing that we do see is that the same challenges will always be there and has always been there with regards to productivity, with regards to security, with regards to user experience. Whether this was 10 years ago, whether where we all had to be in offices, or whether it's in the remote working hybrid world that we live in today. In fact, the remote working era has probably created even a bigger problem for us all. I started Ultima about 8 years ago, and I had to remember physically going into the office. I got given a laptop with my credentials, probably on I think it was a piece of paper back then. The laptop was probably built for me in advance of me getting there, if not the same day. I met my manager at first, but after meeting the manager, it took me probably half a day to get started, where I got my laptop, right? So there was a massive gap there for me to hit the ground running. Looking at the process that we have today and some of our new starters, and I always like to talk to our new starters because it gives me an indication of how we do things and how we compare and benchmark us against the rest of the world and what we're doing. And the experience seems to be far greater now, where the users are getting their laptops pre-built or pre-sent to them before they actually come into the office. They're getting lovely chocolate brownies, water bottles, and North Face backpacks sent to them. I sure didn't get that. I get to spend a lot of time with a lot of customers and do a lot of workshops. Sitting down with one of our customers a few weeks ago, he was so bothered about the joiners process that they had within their organization. He was spending so much time with it that he sat there and worked out how much time he spends in a physical year, and he worked out that he spent 80 physical days in one calendar year just for his joiners. That was a third of his working life. Now, why is that important? So when we look at some of the studies, we see that there was a survey done by Glassdoor which said that organizations with a strong onboarding process improve new hire retention by 82% and increase productivity by 70%. In a separate study, we also found that 31% of people who quit their jobs within the first 6 months cited a poor onboarding experience. One of the things for us as Ultima has always been, our USP has always been around the people that we hire. That's always been our biggest USP. Any of our account managers, who sit with with you, would tell you that. And again, user experience, retaining good people has always been a challenge. It's a challenge for us. It's a challenge for everybody out there. Good people are very hard to come by. So by actually allowing that user experience to be there, we tend to try keep our people happy. Again, going from my own personal experiences, I've had a few role changes during my time at Ultima, and I've been lucky enough not to experience any issues with permissions. I've had a seamless experience. Don't know whether that's by luck or whether we have good systems, but again, I've not had any bad experiences from a user point of view. Again, sitting with an organization a few weeks ago, mapping out their service desk requirement, a 3-man service desk was handling 1,500 tickets. 35% of the tickets were related to access and permissions. That is a huge number, considering 3 people are handling 1,500 tickets on a monthly basis. A simple automation could have reduced that service desk capacity by a third. Then we hear the horror stories, right? During a SAM assessment, we realized that an organization with 400 Microsoft licenses had 412 active users on SharePoint. That's 12 unauthorized, access, 12 people who shouldn't have access to that SharePoint. Again, access was revoked immediately. But again, that's a huge problem for a lot of organizations. And then I'm not even talking about the assets that organizations are not able to claim back or missing off their asset registries, and the cost that incur over there. What problems are we actually trying to solve here? We're actually trying to give IT and HR time back. We live in a world where time is money. We're looking to simplify complex and time-consuming tasks. What we want to do is we want to ensure that we give users just enough access, just in time access, or actually restrict their access to avoid any data bridges, ensuring that compliance is adhered to. We want to increase productivity, get users going from the start, and increase a better user experience, thus retaining good talent and attracting good talent. And working with you, we want to help automate various asset management systems you have, where we can add, remove M365 licenses and help recover hardware, reducing money loss. These are some of the problems that we're trying to solve. What makes us different is, I'm not going to read everything off the screen right now, but we are an infrastructure organization. We have been providing infrastructure solutions for 30+ years. Our automation business was actually built on our infrastructure business. So we have a very good understanding of traditional onboarding systems that are out there, like your typical identity access management solutions. You can use single sign-on. We know about modern management. We know about all the capabilities that are available within these platforms. What we're here to do is actually, these platforms can only do one part of the job. They can live and die with anything that has an API, but they can't go one step further where there is no API. How do you work with systems? How do you go about creating, asset registries and working on building passes and provisioning VPN access and removing that access? Again, we can, as IA Connect, automate the end-to-end process. But also, if you have a working process right now, we can actually work with you to actually complement that and actually take that one step further. One of the things that we can do, and what probably makes us unique, is the fact that we can automate legacy applications, we can automate bespoke applications, and we can do that without the need for APIs. I'm just going to hand over to Alessio now, where we will talk about how the solution is structured.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Volkan. So you can see here on this slide, on the left, we got a fairly simple structure of our platform and how the information gets passed around and what pieces of, software needs to be installed in some of your components. So let's start from that side, and then we talk about the right side of the slide. So on the left, you can see that we start from Power Automate. That's kind of our chosen companion for our processes. So we use Power Automate to integrate with IA Connect, so that we can build flows in there and pass then the information and the logic to our IA Connect pieces. So Power Automate will then, as I said, pass the action and the information to what is our IA Connect orchestrator through the connectors available on Microsoft Power Automate. The orchestrator is simply a Azure web app that you can install within your tenant. And it will also have, an Azure Key Vault where you can store your credentials in a safe way to be used within your automations. And this orchestrator basically is a distributor of the actions to your digital workers. So within the orchestrator, you can have multiple digital workers to execute different flows, or even the same flows just at different times. These digital workers then will be sitting in your virtual machines, and they will connect and speak to the orchestrator through the IA Connect local agent, as you can see there in the middle. This local agent is placed in your virtual machines and receive the information, and then physically basically actions those information that got passed within your local machine, if that's what you're doing, so local automation, or it can do so through remote desktop or Citrix. So you can RDP or connect to a Citrix machine remotely from your local virtual machine, and we can do automation on there too. And the only piece that you would need in the remote machine is an executable file that can be saved in a share file, so nothing to install there, which usually is a security issue. And we can communicate and action everything in a remote way as well. So that's kind of like a simple structure of how we can set up IA Connect. But on the right side, you can see a few information about the platform as well. So we are patented for a hybrid automation, as we said, so local and remote. And this means that we have, I would say, a much better way to do remote automation. Usually, other platforms, other RPA platforms, use mainly surface automation or image recognition. And they're not as advanced on remote automation as we are, while we can basically see the Citrix session or the Microsoft RDP session the same as we would see a local session, meaning that we can make automation much more reliable and simple in that way. And then we also have, capability of multi-monitor automation. We can do Java, we can do user interface, we can do SAP, mainframe, and pretty much automate as many platforms as you got, and pretty much all the systems that we come across so far, either through API or RPA. So in the next slide, we got a demonstration that we built, and this is to show you a joiner process and how it could look like for you. It will start from a ServiceNow instance. Again, this is not necessarily what you have, but it will start this way and for this demonstration. But we can also use, Power Apps or an email or whatever system you have in place to run your joiners details. This automation, as you can see, will start manually. So someone in your business will then fill in the data for your new joiner in a ServiceNow ticket. As you can see here, first name, last name, job role, AD groups, whatever you will need can be added here. This is just an example again. Also hardware, home address, mobile phone, a vehicle registration number. and all the type of information that you would want to insert for your new joiner, so that we can fulfill all the requirement of your joiner process. Now this ticket gets created, and as you can see here, the ticket is available in ServiceNow with all the information included in there, as you see now. And then this information gets passed to our orchestrator. We are building a new capability of communicating directly with ServiceNow and creating this. So that will be available very soon. But at the moment, you can still do this through either an API call or using Power Automate. And then within the orchestrator, sorry, Volkan, I think the video stopped. Don't know if just me seeing it stopped or okay, yeah. Perfect. And then through in the orchestrator, you'll be able to see the ServiceNow information getting passed, and as you can see here is basically a JSON data with all the information that we created in ServiceNow available there. And once this is in the orchestrator, then as I was explaining before, the orchestrator will then the Power Automate process will start, and the orchestrator will communicate this information to the local agent, and each action will then be done within our virtual machine, as you can see here. So that on the left, the top left is our agent, and I explained you earlier. And then as a first step of this, we will go into mainframe just to showcase our mainframe capability and extract some information. In this case, is not meaningful information because this is, of course, a test instance of mainframe, but you could have some useful information in there about your new joiner. And then on the top left, you can see that through API, we are doing AD, the creation of the user, so Active Directory actions, creating the user, adding to groups, filling in all the information, and you will see the results later. And we're doing the same with Microsoft Exchange. This can also be done in Azure AD and other standard JML platforms. And here we're doing a UI automation, so door entry system will fill in all the data of the user, create the user in our system so that it can have access to all our buildings or the necessary buildings that it needs to access, etc., etc. Then we're checking that his employee is actually being created through his ID, just to confirm. And as you can see, John Black, age 40, male, is available now. And then the next step is showing you like web applications. So in this case, just going through a web page, gov.uk, just to check that the MOT is up to date for the vehicle number, so that if that is the case, then we can allocate a parking spot to this new joiner at our office, for example. Again, these are all examples that we thought would be useful to create, but your joiner process could look different, but it will interact with these different options as well. And then here in AD, you can see the John Black is being created. All the information is available in there. That's what the piece of information that we took from mainframe. And then all the rest, address, email address, home address, what role and department is part of, and the groups that we decided to add it to. And are already there. And the same for Exchange. So mailbox is being created, as you can see here, and the user is in the system. And then here, the next piece is, we sent out a bunch of email, in this case to me, but this will be to, the line manager with all the information of the new joiner. And then, for example, to the IT team about this joiner needs this certain piece of hardware. And then another email could go to the HR team, for example, being the MOT is valid, so we can give him a parking spot, or whoever basically in the business needs to know. And as we can see here, back in ServiceNow, the ticket has been completed automatically by the automation, and throughout it's been updated with what has been done. So talking about creation of AD user, creation of Exchange mailbox, creation of parking spots, availability, etc., etc., etc. So everything is trackable, and you can easily see the results of that. So yeah, that is a quick demonstration. Hopefully that kind of sparks some idea on your side. Then I'll pass it back to Volkan for the next part.
Thank you, Alessio. I think one thing to mention is that from that is that you know, we've obviously demonstrated it using ServiceNow. That can be any ITSM platform. It can be an email. It can be a HR system like Workday. So that trigger point can be anything that you want it to be. Just letting you know that we can integrate with any solution from an end-to-end perspective. I want to talk about the Hut Group. The Hut Group approached us a couple of years ago and actually you know, wanted to look at a solution that was able to integrate with Power Automate, which was their chosen automation platform. They looked at our product and actually saw how the product demonstrated and how easy it was to use with regards to drag and drop and kind of having the custom connectors and the pre-built actions that sit on Power Automate. They were able to reduce their manual effort by 42%. We're talking about a 10,000 user organization that has 100 new employees starting every Monday. And you know, that seems like a you know, a very big, you know, number, you know, in reduction of manual effort. The case study is available if you go to YouTube. For anybody who wants to see the case study, happy to provide you with links after the call as well. One of the other things to mention is, you know, when we look at the real world statistics of doing more with less, you know, these are numbers that we see that have kind of come through the Ultima engine, right? The IA Connect engine for Ultima Service Desk, and we've kind of categorized this into two sectors. We've got the public sector, and then we've got the commercial sector. As you can imagine, the public sector is going to be always going to have more activity when we take into consideration things like junior doctor intake twice a year for NHSs, or the contractors that we, you know, have with the local gov, where, you know, on a 3-month contract, long term, short term, that number is always going to be far higher than any commercial organisation. But again, when we look at the commercial numbers, you know, predominantly made up via media, retail, insurance, legal, you could see that the numbers are still very steady in terms of the joiners, movers, leavers actions per month. What do these numbers actually mean in terms of manual hours? We look at the month of December, for example. You know, that's, you know, combining commercial and public sector, that's just over 800 man hours. That's considering that each action takes 20 minutes or each user takes 20 minutes. We know some processes can take 40-45 minutes, some might be quicker, but even if we was to base it on 20 minutes as Ultima, we would need to recruit 8 full-time heads to work within our service desk to just do joiners, movers, leavers, and that for us would have been, it's a very costly exercise, right? So this gives us, from a service desk perspective, a very increased operational efficiency, which is great. Not to mention any of the error rates that come up. Again, we do know that when you do a task repeatedly, there is always going to be an error, and it takes a lot longer to fix the error than actually having the error in the first place. When we look at what these actually mean, when we take you know, £35,000 as a, you know, a salary, which, you know, seems to be the going rate in the market nowadays, maybe more, maybe less, and based on 157 working hour month, we could see what the cost associated is to each business. And again, these are sunken costs in some cases where you've got teams where you know, you already pay these salaries, and they are doing a task that can be automated, and that task can be, or that user can then be, you know, freed up to do more things and actually do more innovational work. How we can help you? So a couple of ways. We can provide you with just a platform. We have very good training guides, and we've got, you know, good material where we can help you, train you, and provide you with the platform. It's, you know, it's designed for citizen developers. It's low code, no code, where you can actually get your teams to create flows and get going straight away. Very easy way to get started. We can work with you, take a part of your process and provide you with a proof of concept, show you a working element of your process, and we can work with you from an end-to-end perspective where we can map out your complete joiners, movers, levers process, automate that for you, and fully manage that for you. We can work with you as much as you want or as little as you want. It's just the way. It's our ethos, right? We're there to help you out from an end-to-end perspective if you need it. But again, if you need just the platform, we're also there to help you out with that. What are the next steps and how does it work? The next steps will be to contact your account manager or reach out to us at the end of the session, and we can book you a free workshop where we can sit with you, work out, map out your processes, work out where the operational efficiencies can come from, look at what can be automated, what can't be automated, and provide you a high-level business case that you can take back to your business with what ROIs you will get from day one, and what value you can bring back to your business. Once we identify that element, we can then work with you to build out your flows, test it with you, and then take it into production and go live, where you will have a fully automated joiners, movers, levers process. Again, it's not just the joiners, movers, levers we do, it's just a hot topic that comes up all the time. But other things that we do is we do a lot of automation, business process automation. Some of the stats for last year, we executed more than 60,000 SAP automations. We've done over 15,000 Java applications, 50,000 plus web applications. And again, we now operate, I think, total 8 countries. We've added 3 new locations: Singapore, Japan, and Denmark. We've got some big household names on the books that utilize the solution. And again, we're moving in a good direction. Just wanted to open the floor for any questions. Is there any questions that we can answer? Okay, got one that's come through. Alessio, question is, what's the difference between API, RPA, and JML?
So RPA is basically what like a step by step kind of automation. So RPA is means robotics process automation, and it replicates the steps that a human would do on a machine. So it's kind of about clicking buttons, interacting with the user interface of an application, whether that's web or on-prem. And kind of what you saw in the demo of what we did with the web page, for example, inserting the vehicle registration number, and then copy and paste situation of the registration number and the MOT date, things like that. So anything that a user would do, we can just replicate. While an API is basically a direct communication channel between 2 platforms, 2 systems. So for example, IA Connect as the orchestrator, for example, can communicate directly with, as you can see, AD or Exchange without having to use the user interface, and in the background can send information like the user details and then return the result of the action, meaning the user's being created, the user's being added to groups, etc., etc. So it's kind of like in the background. And some of the apps and softwares within companies have APIs, so that could be an easier and direct way, but if some don't, and that's where RPA comes into place. The JML situation is kind of like a piece that we've added to the situation where we've pre-built some actions within IA Connect that already interact with the main JML systems, being Azure AD, Active Directory, Microsoft Exchange, etc., etc. And those are pre-built, and that's kind of what you get in the package. And those are kind of like simpler and to use and more reliable than create your own API connection or create an RPA automation. You already have that built in, and it's kind of straightforward to build.
Thank you. Another one is, I think I'll take this one. Looking at the numbers, they seem way higher than our JML actions per month. We have no way near the amount of joiners, movers, leavers. What options will you have for us? Great question, and it's one that always comes up. We've taken a look at this, and we appreciate that not every organisation is going to have a very large turnover of staff. Some people have a small a lower turnover of staff. So what we do, we have a different licensing model available for organisations that have a smaller or lesser executions per month, and we could definitely provide you with that option once we map out what that process looks like. But again, it's not just the JML piece that you can use. JML piece is one action of it. Once you have the same licenses, will allow you to do other business process automation. So you can use the licenses in finance, in HR, and IT to actually automate other business processes that you might need or you might want to do so. I think one more question. Can you manage the whole of my workspace? Yes, yeah, 100%. We do. Like I said, we're an infrastructure organisation. Have been working with organisations of managed workspace or workspaces for many of years. This element of JML is actually one part of the user experience life cycle of the user, but we can work with organisations end to end on end user management, device management. It's managed Intune, managed operating system, and we can provide that end-to-end process. Any more questions? I think that's it. No more questions there. Sometimes I repeat myself, just kind of keen to get the message across, very passionate. Final closing statement from me would be that our proposition will improve your security posture and your productivity and deliver an immediate return of investment, especially in today's climate where time is money. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.